She's had a cup of British tea and recovered a little bit. So let's go to the Queen of the Visas first and foremost as we find out how everybody's doing on the Dream Team panel tonight. Gilda, are you there?
Hello, just
Hello.
arrived.
Hello.
Hi,
How are you this evening?
I'm fine.
Perfect timing. Excellent.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
One
Anything?
of my kids were singing out loud. I had to go in
Oh,
and
we
shut it
don't mind that. That's a lovely little vignette of Portuguese life. Depends what they were singing, of course. It might be "Why Are We Waiting" or something like that, or complaining about the food tonight. But everything okay then in Casa Pereira?
Yes, everything's
Excellent.
fine.
Good to hear it. And how is the world of migration? How are those colleagues and friends at formerly CEF, now IMA?
Everything remains the same, with the exception that we are having able to find some slots for the renewals, for some renewals,
Okay,
for
great.
people that have their resident permits expired. But besides that, no other vacancies at all.
Nothing to report, but very happy to take questions on any aspect of the migration or the visa processes of Portugal. Gilda is here to deal with those. And let me just make sure everybody's getting in okay through the waiting room this evening. Yes, Sarah's just joining us. Jackie here from the Expats Portugal team as well. And I'm still a little concerned that we're not streaming on YouTube just yet, but I'll take care of that whilst we're hearing from the Sea Dog blogger Daniel Dos Reis from Reis Pelicano. How are you and how's the world of law tonight, Daniel?
Well, good, thank you. The world of law seems to be calm. I think it's due to the fact that we don't have a working parliament, so there's not a lot of developments and things being put forward. And I think that we'll have quiet times on the law side of
Daniel
things.
Dos Reis from Reis
Election.
Pelicano. Sorry, Daniel, go ahead. That is YouTube. That's
I
just
was hearing
YouTube.
some echo now.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no major changes at the current moment or foreseen major changes. And I think that the situation will be quiet until the elections. And after that, once the new government takes possession, probably some developments will occur, but all good for the time being.
Very good. And there is a lot of noise now. Maybe that's not the most polite way of putting it, but certainly it's getting busier in anticipation of the elections. What's the date in March when they're happening, Daniel?
If my memory stands correct, it's the 10th of March,
That sounds
and
about
we're
right.
going to have the general elections for the parliament here.
Yeah.
So let's see the direction that this is taking.
Okay, superb. 10th of March then for the general election here in Portugal, 25th of April for the big 50-year celebration of the Carnation
Yep.
Revolution. So quite the year for Portugal. Thank you very much for the time being, Daniel. Any questions about the law, you can point them towards Daniel and I'll make sure they get asked this evening. Let's go to our man in insurance who lost his voice this last couple of weeks. Let's see if it's working tonight. Nuno, how are you?
My boss is finally good, finally okay.
Good. So glad to
So
hear that.
yeah, it put me out of the game for 10 days.
Did you really?
So yeah, yes,
Right.
yes. So I don't know what happened because it's only my voice. I
Yes.
don't have fever. I didn't have fever. I didn't have flu signs. So just my voice.
That's
I
incredible,
believe
isn't it?
I believe that it could be my body try to give me some rest, but
Yeah. Or some might
probably
say
that.
that the Lord works in a mysterious way. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm sure you were able to communicate by other means and your team
Yeah.
were busy working on your behalf. And is that why you've got that sticker on your backdrop? Let's talk, because you're delighted to be talking again.
Oh, yes, yes, of course. It's
Brilliant.
crucial
Okay,
for what I'm
super.
doing.
All right. Any questions about insurance? Let's put those to Nuno tonight. Any news from the world of insurance? We like it when it's quiet. No news is good news in insurance, right?
Finally, it was approved some concentration of the market. So the big worldwide operator Generali, it's an Italian company, bought a US company, a US insurer, Liberty.
Really?
So they are operating, we don't know for how long, but at least 1 year more. But I believe that it will take 2, 3 years. So they have in this moment two companies, but yeah, some concentration, market concentration. But besides this, Nothing much, nothing much.
Okay, but big news inside the industry to hear that. And we're used to like maybe an American company buying an Italian company, but this is the other way around, is it?
Yes, it seems that in US, Liberty Mutual is facing some constraints,
Yeah.
and so they are selling worldwide some operations that they have in
Interesting.
Asia, in South America, and in Europe.
All right. Okay.
So,
Thank you for that. A little insight into the world of insurance. Any questions you've got at all about insurance, get them into the chat. And Robert Andrew Frank saying Nunu's team doing an amazing job with health, pet, travel, car insurance, pretty much everything. Then a comprehensive, to use an industry term, a comprehensive service from Nunu and team there as far as Robert's concerned. Thank you for that feedback. We've got Rick in from Reno, Nevada, Allah from Oregon, from Michael. Tom Smith is in as well. Greetings from Ohio, where it's a blustery 6 degrees. If I stick my arms out, I'll be in Portugal in 5 minutes. Allah from Los Angeles, from S. Allah from the wilderness. That's Denise. Good evening to you. And Donovan is with us from Hollywood, of course, in California. And Connie's here. Hi, Connie. Hi, Nunu. Glad you're feeling better. Good to be able to pass that message on from you, Connie. How are you and Hank this evening? Laurie Bonnet from Santa Marta de Portozelo. Special shout out to Astrid for all you do behind the scenes. There you go, Astrid. Thank you, Winton and Laurie there. I'm also happy dealing with insurance from my private health insurance, as Debbie would like info on pet insurance. So we'll go into that in a minute, Nunu, if we may, with you. I bet Nunu was listening to some good techno while he was feeling sick. I don't know if that is his favorite music. Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe you know something I don't, Laurie and Winton. And Pedder's here as well with Schmway. Is that? That's not a Welsh phrase I recognize, but hola. We'll take that from you, Pedder, there. And we've got Shari with us as well. Good evening to you, Shari. How are you doing?
Hi Carl, hi everyone. I'm good, doing good, really great. It's getting busier now because US citizens have already started uh, processing their US tax filing as the April tax deadline is fast approaching. But we also we can also help them with a tax filing extension if they think they cannot meet the April or the June filing deadline. So they just need to create a Greenback account and then inform their assigned accountant that they need a filing extension. And we can help them with that one. And it's a complimentary for all of our clients.
Is it? Now, you might have
Yeah.
taken people on a little roller coaster ride tonight.
Yeah.
Let the filing begin, and people are like, oh my God, filing. And then you say, we can help people with extensions. It's like, give me the number. So Greenback Tax Services, that's a complimentary service. I think you said there, Shari, for clients of yours who can help with a little bit of an extension to keep
Correct.
people out of trouble with the IRS. And nobody wants that sort of trouble in their life, do they? So thank you, Shari, for being with us. What time is it for you?
It's 5 a.m. Yes.
5 a.m. Ever since you told me that, I just have even more respect for you than I did before. And that was a lot. So thank you for being here from Greenback Expat Tax Services at 5 in the morning. We can count our lucky stars here. We're in the evening here in Portugal, the rest of us. So thank you very much. I missed the Golden Visa session, says S, last week. Was it recorded? Couldn't find it on YouTube. We will send a memo to HQ to find out where that is and when it will be published there, S. And first question from Tom Smith. Oh, actually, no, before we go to that, thank you for that, Tom. But I did say we check in about pet insurance with Nunu now, which I think will be interesting to all pet owners here, including Gilda, owner of Mandela, who will inquire about later on in the webinar. Nunu, tell us about pet insurance, if you will.
insurance is one of the growing kind of insurance in the insurance market. So it has more and more demand for customers, and insurers are developing more and more their offer. Regarding pet insurance, we have basically two sides. One is the liability part, so damages to others, and the health insurance to the pet. So basically, this is related with the vet costs.
Yeah.
So we need some information from you. Please send us an email. Could be to imsafe@winsurance.pt, and we'll start from there.
And
But
when
it's
Sorry, when you're talking about the liability to others, this is if what, your dog runs out in front of a car or bites somebody, that's some insurance cover to cover those sorts of costs.
Correct.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. I have health insurance, says Debbie, for my Cavalier King Charles Spaniel in the USA, but want it for both countries. So you know what to do. Take up Nuno on his invitation there. So thank you very much for prompting that question about pet insurance, and any other questions about any kind of insurance here in Portugal. Let's put those to Nuno tonight. Migration questions to do with visas for Gilda, and law questions with Daniel, and any tax filing for US citizens for Shari this evening. I hope I haven't. Oh, we've got Sarah Davey with us. Have you had a chance to have that cup of tea or coffee, Sarah? I'm back in business for the dream session.
Yes, I have. I'm refreshed and ready to go again.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being here on the Dream Team panel tonight. Great job, which will, of course, be published on the YouTube channel at 6 o'clock next Sunday evening. I think Pedder's coming straight in with a question from Zoom tonight. You're looking mighty fine with your new haircut there, Pedder. What's your question? And we need you to unmute as well.
Oh, that took a bit of doing. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
It's not a new haircut. I've
It's
just
not, it's a
tied
new
it
style.
back.
A new style. Okay, well, good evening
Been
to
in
you.
the shower.
Oh, very good of you to take such trouble to appear on the webinar tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely. I take one look at you and I realize what I have to put up with, and I have to what competition I have.
Go on, then, Pedder. What you got
I
for us
used to
tonight?
do that for a living, you know, the headphones.
These cover a multitude of sins, as you
I
know.
do.
Yeah, do.
Mine were DT100s. Very good headphones.
Excellent. Go
Yeah.
ahead. What's your question?
The question was to Nuno. Yeah, to Nuno. A garage. Now, I insure my car. I just insure my car, don't I? But a garage owner insures loads of cars, okay, on one policy. My question is, as a multiple dog owner, can I do the same? Do I have a type of, you know, for many dogs? Because if I was to insure every dog single, you know, I couldn't afford it. I would have to not insure them.
Ah, good question. So a group policy for dog ownership.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Or multiple pets.
pets are seen or understood as family parts, and when we insure or we do health insurance to the family, we need to insure each member of the family. So, like humans, the pets, we need to insure each pet.
So
We
that's a yes
can,
then.
yeah, yes, yes.
Good.
But the reason why is because the insurers see pets as part of the family, which it was what's
absolutely.
happening nowadays. So yeah.
So
They are treated individually.
presumably the
Is
second
it-
question is, can you get a bulk discount for having a big
Yeah,
family?
that's what I meant. Is it much cheaper to insure, you know?
In some situations, yes, depending on the breed and depending on how many dogs. This is not applicable to cats, for example, but to dogs, yes, we can have some breach, but we need to know what we are talking about what we are handled with to talk.
Just big cuddly Pyrenean mountain dogs.
So that's what you'll put on the insurance policy.
That's
Excellent.
nothing dangerous. Well, I don't know if it's dangerous. If you try and steal my sheep, it might be dangerous.
It'd be pretty dangerous, couldn't it? Well, there you go, Pedder. I hope that satisfies your question. Good evening to
Thank
you.
you very much.
And your Bayer Dynamic headphones. Excellent. Gail, let's go to Canada now and answer Gail's question.
I have a follow-up question for Sarah from the last session.
Oh, go
Because
ahead.
when Jackie mentioned about the 10%, that actually, you know, it clicked on for me. So if I'm doing my D7 visa and I'm going to need the money, say, and also for rental deposits in August or September, and I kind of have an idea of how much I'm going to have in my Portuguese bank account and deposit, I could pay down 10% of that amount now.
You've got a couple of options. Say, for example, you wanted to take advantage of the rate now, we can buy all the euros up front, so you'd need all the US dollars, or we can fix the rate with 10% deposit. So the amount that you need, say it was, I don't know, call it 10,000, you need 10% of that. We'd fix
Don't
the
I
rate.
wish?
and then you'd pay 10%, and then when you need the money in August or whenever, you pay us the remaining 90%. We send all the money out then, but at the rate you've agreed. And you have a bit of flexibility within that. So if you needed some of the money before that, you can draw down within that period of time and just send the 90% of what you actually need, if that makes sense.
Okay, so probably the fixed one will be good because I don't want to take my money out of my investments right now because of dividends and everything. So I could do that fixed rate.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It depends on everyone's situation, but sometimes it doesn't make a lot of difference. But if you have it in a high interest bearing account and you don't want to lose up at that, but you want to take advantage of the rate, obviously what we don't want is that you take advantage of the rate, but then you lose out a little bit on what it would be in the investment and it counteracts what you've gained, then you have an option as well.
So, and just to follow up on that, so so the Bank of Canada is actually the equivalent of the Federal Reserve. It's not a bank as such. So with the interest rates, everyone's kind of guessing when each country might reduce their interest rates. I assume, like if Canada went first, their exchange rates would take a bit of a hit.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb is that if a country cuts their interest rates, it will weaken their currency.
Right. And so if there's a gap between, because they probably all will do it at some point, but somebody's got to go first. And we're Canadian, eh? So we're so polite.
Politely going first on the interest rate cap. Right. Wow. Okay. Does that satisfy your question there, Gail? Because it's basically
I just wanted to get a sense. Probably supposedly that might be happening in March or April. So it might be good to lock in now. So okay, thank you.
And that's what Jackie was so excited about. Was the phenomenon you're talking about?
Thanks, Jackie.
If people have got money tied up in investments and you don't want to pull it out and lose the benefit, you can just do a forward contract with Spartan and just pay the 10% rather than the whole amount. Is that correct, Sarah?
It is. And some people, are maybe locked in and can't get out straight away and you don't want to not take advantage of the rate. But ultimately, that's what we're saying, it gives you options. Yes, you can wait and move the money when you need it. But as I said, that's kind of the general thing that we're going to see this year is what's the inflation data, when are they going to cut interest rates and who's going to go first. Probably more than likely that the Fed, for example, will go before the ECB. But again, they just want the data to be more consistent before they make drastic changes. And it may be, depending on your time frame, that actually the rates are better now than they may be in the future because of those interest rate cuts. Again, we don't have a crystal ball, but it's again about trying to manage your budget and trying to get you the best rate that we can within your timeframes.
There you go, Gail. Great. Okay, to Tom then, and back to Gilda. A question from Tom. I'm discouraged about how hard it is to get an appointment with CEF/IMA, but I understand some services are online. Do you renew your residency permit online, assuming it's routine? And what do you need an appointment for? It's a good general question there, Gilda, if you will, on the sort of appointments you need to go in for and the things that can be done online. And that's the direction of travel, isn't it? This is what we're hearing on the grapevine, is that IMA are hoping to do more and more online. Is there any evidence of that yet?
Yes, there is. And actually, next week we are going to do a webinar about that. Because there is a new regulation that just came out last week about the changes that IMA is supposed to be doing for the services that are going to start to be done online.
Okay, so the communication is increasing, is it, coming out of IMA on what their intentions are? And they're doing a bit more PR, are they?
Yeah.
Very good.
Their intentions are to start to doing more things online. But what is the challenging now is that they are in the turning point that they need to deal with all the processes that they had in hands and then start the new ones.
Yeah.
So that's why this is all stuck right now.
Yes. Okay. And they're dealing with the backlog. I mean, they've got two things going on, haven't they? They've inherited a real pile of work, but they're also dealing with Portugal's attractiveness around the world and the increasing number of people who want to be here. So they do have quite the job on their hands, but that's encouraging, I would say, Gilda. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, Tom, I don't think you should be worried because this is just a period. Of course, that for sometimes for some people it has been quite a period now, but it's going to be a period of time, and then this will come to normality.
Okay.
As it was before.
Do you have any sense of the timescale on that, Gilda, or is it too difficult to say?
Well, my sense now is that it's going to be after the elections.
Okay. Just to be clear, the Portuguese ones.
Yes, the Portuguese ones.
Everybody's having an election this year, I think, pretty much around the world. It's a busy year when it comes to elections. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like Daniel was saying, Parliament is kind of in a state of dormancy at the moment, and everything is politically focused on the election, and then we'll get some new people maybe in leadership who will want some answers and want some action. So I can understand why you're making that forecast, Gilda. Thank you for that. Anything else you want to add?
No,
Okay.
I think it's going to be interesting to be on our next webinar.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see you then. Donovan is asking, this is probably for you as well. Is there anything I absolutely need to be in Portugal to do? And if so, can I get it done when I'm in Porto from March the 1st to June the 14th, having done nothing so far, just starting out? Also, can I easily get a NIF and open a bank account in that 2-week time frame? Now, some of the advice given to you last week, Donovan, was to not ruin your trip to Portugal by doing bureaucracy. And these are the sort of things that Gilda can do for you.
Yes, Donovan, my advice to you would be, tell me when you are coming so we get everything prepared. We already have the NIF for you. We prepare everything, so you just go to the bank and sign the papers for the bank account, and it's done.
Yeah, I guess
and in like 2 hours you have everything done.
Yeah, because he could be tasting port, going to the Lello bookstore, eating at the best McDonald's in the whole wide world in Porto, and among many other experiences, or sat in government offices waiting for things to be done. I know which I would.
Running from one to the other, from one to the other.
Yeah, right. So there you go, Donovan. I hope that answers your question. If not, give us a bit more in the chat there.
Good advice. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Okay. Which of those especially appealed to you, I wonder? Was it the tasting port?
All of it. Just not waiting in line in government offices.
Yes. Okay. Well, then you know what to do. Fantastic. Thank you for that question. Debbie, we've dealt with the insurance there and your lovely Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. David Weber, this might be a double header for Gilda and Nunu. Let's start with you, Gilda, first. I'd love to know what health insurance policy is needed for the second IMA interview.
Okay, so for the first one, for the D7, it's like a travel insurance, and for this one, it's a health insurance. Okay. So it's different. And then Nuno already knows all the requirements.
Over to you, Nuno.
Yeah.
Okay, so regarding the travel insurance, yes, there are some instructions from the Portuguese authorities. To the health insurance, there are no directions. Nevertheless, we are handling with a long-term decision, and we are handling with what I consider a critical factor, which is healthcare. So we can quote different plans, have a talk, because this is about managing risk, and this is about each individual perception about this kind of risk. We heard a lot, I'm healthy, I'm pretty healthy, I never had a problem, but this is a temporary state. Mm-hmm. So plan ahead, be precautions. Yes, we have in Portugal the SNS, but so the public system, but has every Portuguese. Sometimes we just know that we have, but we cannot use. Yep. We cannot use them. So plan ahead. We have a talk. We give you some indicators, and then you decide, because your perception and your situation could be different from mine. So yeah, we could help you on decide what you think that is better to you.
Yep. And of course, over the last 2 or 3 years, you've evolved products specifically for the purposes of foreigners coming into Portugal. So have that conversation, David, with Winsurance there. You can see the details on the screen there, I believe, or iamsafe@winsurance.pt is the email address to speak to Nunu and team there. David, thanks, Gilda and Nunu, for that one. Over to you, Daniel, for a couple of questions here. Zoom user. Now, I've got a feeling Zoom user asked these questions last week and may have gone off to make a drink or dinner and not heard the answers. But so maybe we can do these briefly, because they are a useful question for general purposes, I think, Daniel. I think you'll agree. Thank you for the session, says Zoom user. I lived for more than 5 years under the Golden Visa. I'm a tax resident in Portugal. I'm applying for permanent residency. Do I need to provide criminal records from my previous country again for application for permanent residency? And we went into this in some detail last week, didn't we, Daniel?
We did, but it was for the nationality. The question is a bit different, and it's more towards and geared towards Gilda than me. But Gilda, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's needed a criminal record for permanent residency card. Gilda?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because it's Philip that takes care of that, Daniel.
Okay, so
Well, but it's the last session we did speak about the situation regarding the obtaining the nationality, correct?
yeah.
This is regarding renewing the residency permit. And in my view, as long as that person did not leave the country and is just renewing the residency card, I don't think that it will need a new criminal record. It needs one at the time of the visa or at the time of the first residency permit, depending on what's the route. But then it's just a question of renewing the residency permit here in Portugal, and no more criminal records are needed. This is from memory, but I think that's the correct answer.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not going to give an answer, because it's Philip that deals with this matter, and I don't know. I would need to or drop me an email. I will ask her. She's on vacation, but she'll be here on Monday, and I will give you an answer for sure.
There you go, Zoom user. Sorry, I got the wrong end of the stick there, and my mistake there.
Let me just, because I didn't write the question. Was this a Golden Visa client or?
Oh, it's
It's a Golden Visa client. I'm now
permanent residency with the Golden Visa.
The answer does change a bit, and this is indeed my end. So if it's a Golden Visa, you will need a criminal record to renew the residency card, because a Golden Visa applicant usually is not living in Portugal. Therefore, he is renewing the residency card, and to renew the residency card, the criminal record is needed. If he has a passport from the US, for instance, you will need to obtain the FBI criminal background check and the apostille to have the permanent residency card requested. So that's the correct answer.
There you go.
Because it's a specific thing about the Golden Visa. As Golden Visa applicants usually do not live in Portugal, therefore they will need to deliver the criminal record each time that they are renewing the card.
Very good. Thanks, Daniel. Zoom user, I suspect that gets to the bottom of your question there. If it doesn't, you know what to do. Come back to us in the chat here over on Zoom. Let's stay with you, Daniel. I've nothing but huge praise, says Diana, for Melanie, with all her understanding, expertise, and professionalism. Also, a couple of questions tonight. What do you recommend to an American for transferring funds to Raisin Pelicano? For example, do you work with Spartan FX?
Yeah. Spartan FX works with us with a great deal of success. When I know that Spartan FX is involved, I rest assured that the money will be on time to have a property deal. So I've nothing but praise to Spartan FX, because once you're transferring a large sum of money to do a property deal, you need to be sure when will the money will arrive, because contracts are needed to be signed or banking checks will need to be issued. So the date of arrival of the money is quite important once we're doing a property deal. And I know that if the money is already in spot and effects, that on the next day it will be on our client's account, and it does make our life on our end a way easier when they are involved.
Great.
Sure.
All right. Thank you for that, Daniel. There you go, Diana. And your second question, will Resin Pelicano accept a retainer from clients to be used to cover fees and expenses over the course of an engagement? So can you work on a retainer?
Yeah. We do have retainer agreements that we send to our clients, usually a double column agreement in Portuguese and English, with the terms and conditions that we laid out, because usually the first proposal that we do to our clients in terms of fees is sent via email. Once the client agrees with that proposal, we will send the retainer agreement in written. The client will sign it, we'll sign it on our end, and we will, of course, fully respect the retainer agreement. In terms of the way that we work, it does depend a lot. In some type of processes, like, for instance, Portuguese nationality, we have a fixed close price. For property acquisitions, it's the same thing. But in some particular situations, we do bill by the hour. So it does depend a bit on how we're going to bill the situation. But we like to work with full transparency. And of course, a retainer agreement is something that we serve to our clients.
Okay, great. Thank you, Daniel. There you go, Diana. Back to Zoom user for a bit more clarity on this question as Golden Visa applicant. I lived for the last 2 years in Portugal as a tax resident and didn't leave Portugal, says Zoom user. Then presumably no need for criminal records from my previous country if living as a tax resident in Portugal.
Whoops, I was muted. My advice is, because of the Golden Visa specificities, would be to obtain the criminal record. Because I think that if we fight AIMA, if we fight CEF, we would be able to win it over, but it will stall the process for such a long time, 6 months, a year, that to have that process stalled for that substantial amount of time, I wouldn't bother doing it. The truth is that the Golden Visa cards that are being renewed online, they are not requesting the criminal record. This is what's happening with the renewal online. But this is about to change, so I wouldn't count with having the online renewal scheme for quite a long time in the Golden Visa department. Therefore, probably the best route is obtaining the criminal record. And eventually, if the route is to obtain the Portuguese nationality, because if the person has already have 5 years plus 1 day of residency permit and learns Portuguese, he can apply for the Portuguese nationality. He will need a criminal record anyway, so you might as well just obtain it and use it for the nationality application as well as for the permanent residency card. And you kill 2 birds with the same stone or the same criminal record.
Very good. Okay, there you go, Zoom user. I think we've got to the bottom of it now. Nunu, thanks, Daniel. Nunu, we have our health insurance from Winsurance, says Laurie in Winton. Helena was very helpful. We are planning to purchase a car here in Portugal in the next month or so. Should I have auto insurance before I go to purchase, or work that out once I'm in the purchasing phase? That's a great question, isn't it? For anyone buying a car in Portugal, how do they activate their insurance for that car through you, Nunu?
For the question. There is a big difference regarding what happened in the United States. So in Portugal, we insure the car, not the driver's license. So everyone with a valid driver's license can drive any car in Portugal, and the insurance policy to that car is fully active. Okay. So you only can do the insurance in the day that you'll be the owner of the car. So you need to have the car plate number. Of course, we can handle with everything in advance, quoting, trying to find out what fits you best. But to put in place the insurance policy 24 hours in advance, it's
Very
what
good.
usually happens.
There you go. Nice and easy there, Laurie, when buying a car. And isn't it a very interesting distinction that, isn't it? That it's the vehicle and not the person that is insured here in Portugal.
Yes, so we only have on each insurance policy, auto insurance policy, one driver mentioned on the insurance policy.
Yeah.
But everyone with a valid driver's license can drive the car.
Which is amazing. And that's I have found Portuguese friends to be so generous in that regard. Here, take the car. And it's because of that particular culture, isn't it? Oh, while we're on that, Nuno, and buying cars here in Portugal, I heard a news item about Portugal, the Portuguese government, this is, and Finanças, possibly paying back tax that's been charged on car purchases elsewhere in the EU. Have you heard about this? People appealing for the tax that that was demanded from them when they bought a car from for example, in Germany.
Yes, and I know that some people, a few,
Right.
only a few,
Okay.
were successful, but only a few.
Okay.
To everyone else, almost everyone, we will not have that luck.
Okay, and
No way.
And the ones who were successful, it's because it's against EU law, isn't it? And presumably that's been upheld because it goes against EU law. But it's a process which only the strong-hearted would go through, presumably.
Yes, and they are professionals. So
okay.
yes, they are deeply involved with the car business and
Okay.
also with the legal side. As regarding legal, Daniel, he's here and he can help. But
Would you
yeah.
Thank you, Nuno, for that. Would you recommend it, Daniel? It's not for the mere mortal, is it, to try and get that tax back from Finanças?
Well, they won't get the money back if you unless you take them to court. And my experience with administrative courts, well, let's just say that I have a lawsuit over there since 2016, and I'm still waiting. That's one of my oldest lawsuits that I have. Is still running, and no hearing. The first hearing did not occur yet.
Wow. Okay. So if you want that tax back, maybe see it as a retirement plan.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not, as Nuno was saying, it's not for the faint of heart. It's for the long haul. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. I was just had a glimmer of hope that the Portuguese government were turning around on this issue, but clearly only in the most exceptional and gifted of circumstances. Okay. Thanks both of you on that, and thank you, Laurie and Winton, for that question. Very good. Peder, don't worry, nothing's changed with the insurance requirements. That was just somebody wanting clarification on the scheduling of those insurance requirements for the D7, so nothing to worry about there. Robert, good evening, all from Bon Cesar Resort. Good choice, Robert. There, if you're in San Martino, just down the road, have a cup of tea. Alone tonight, as Rahan is in London having his passport stamped with a visa. Fantastic. However, even though we interviewed one day apart, I've heard nothing about mine. Gilda, I think this is for you. Is that normal to have that sort of separation of interviews?
Yes, it is normal. It is normal.
Okay.
Sometimes even in the same day.
Right. Okay. And a supplementary to that, EI are brilliant, by the way. So there you go. Some nice feedback. And thank you for that. So it is normal. Nothing to worry about there. Zoom user, I think we've sorted you out. And Eric, greetings. We are in the process of moving. This is for you, Gilda, to Madeira from the US. My wife was born in Madeira, myself and two adult children, 20 and 19. Plan to utilize the family reunion pathway. Are my children required to be enrolled full-time in a Portuguese university if they will not have any income when we first relocate?
Yes, they do, or they need to have a work contract.
Okay, so there you go. That's a fairly straightforward answer for you there, Eric. Work contract or full-time education. S, we've got the link for that golden visa recording for you. And you ask a question, at what point does one become a tax resident after arriving in Portugal on the D7? Great question.
Okay, so you arrive It depends if you want to become sooner or later. If you want to become soon, you can, with your D7 and your rental agreement, you can change your address into the Portuguese one. And if changing your address, you become a tax resident. If you want to change it later, to push it for later, you can wait until you have your residency permit, and then it's only when it becomes mandatory to change your address to Portugal, and then you become a tax resident.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. That's your answer there, S. Thank you, Gilda, for that. Zoom user dealing directly with Daniel behind the scenes. That's fantastic. Thank you, Daniel, for that. And I'm sure others on the Dream Team panel are also answering more PM and DM questions there. Don't forget, we've got Shari here as well from Greenback. If you want some help filing your US tax return this year, or for getting an extension for that matter, as she pointed out earlier on. From Rick then, and over on YouTube, Gina, Carl, Foreign Affair, Ubi, and Ra. Good evening to you. We'll get over to you in just a moment. We are running out of time, though. Only about 16 minutes to go on the Dream Team session tonight. Rick is asking Gilda, when coming into Portugal for the first time on a D7, do we have to fly into Portugal directly, or can we fly into any point in the EU? That's a good question.
You can fly into any point.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything you want to add to that? I mean, that's fairly straightforward, isn't it?
Well, yes, if it is the first time, you can fly into any point. The only problem when we advise direct flights is if somehow, and because of all this mess with the renewals, if you need to go back to your country, and if you need to enter Portugal, what do we do? Of course, that we only advise you to go out if you really need to, and we advise you to come on a direct flight, and we will explain to the Portuguese authorities why you did go and without an appointment. Of course, they will understand why, and we will explain with this decree law that says that it is automatically extended, the visas, blah, blah, blah. So in that case, because we can explain with the Portuguese law, we ask if you go out to come on a direct flight, because if you go through another country, it's going to be pretty messy to explain what is going out with Portugal and with these migration authorities. And probably they will say, these Portuguese guys are crazy. We don't understand what you're saying. So it makes our life easier and yours life easier if you come on a direct flight.
There you go. Yeah, on a practical level there. So there's the law, but then there's the practicality, and you've heard both sides of it there, Rick. I hope that helps. La Ronda's wondering, if you do ever get your money back from Finanzas after maybe 10 years of legal battles, do they pay interest on top of that, Daniel? What's the precedent on that?
Well, once they're cited or this is called upon the legal action, then yes, there's interest, but it's a legal interest and it's a small penalty, so it doesn't compensate. And if the Portuguese state does lose the court battle, or in any court battle, as a matter of fact, this is something that I would like to clear out, is that court fees and legal fees and lawyers' fees are not fully repaid by the other party. So the only thing that can eventually be repaid by the other party, this either being the Portuguese state or even a private party if they are sued, is court fees. So let's say that you're requesting 1,000 euros from someone, and that the court does fully validate your claim, and basically condones the other party to pay back the 1K that you requested, then you get the fees that you paid to go to court. And this is just the court fees. lawyers' fees are not repaid in our system, at least in the sense that in the US we'll have it. Therefore, going to court in some minor small cases, it doesn't compensate because sometimes the lawyer's fees will be higher than the money that you're claiming. So what I usually advise clients is that things below 2.5, 3,000 euros, sometimes it doesn't compensate to go to court because the money that you will spend in court fees, lawyer fees, and the time that the ordeal will take, it may not compensate to sue someone. If it's more than that, yes, of course, but less than that, sometimes it's better to have a bad agreement and having some of the money back than going into court and having a lengthy court battle. So in my practice, I like to resolve things before going to court with a settlement, with an agreement, instead of going to court just because of the time that it takes. That's the gist out of going to court in Portugal, at least from the perspective that I have.
Great, thanks for that, Daniel. Much appreciated. There you go, Laronda. Not worth the effort and the time involved, by the sound of it, generally speaking. Okay, we had a question. Let's stay with you, Daniel, because we've had a question about writing wills. Who do we recommend? You can take care of that. Can you tell us a little bit about the process?
Yeah, we do that in our law firm. What we've been doing quite a lot lately is international wills. And this is basically to avoid the application of the Portuguese law, because if someone has assets in Portugal and has a residency permit here, there's the risk that the Portuguese law may be applicable to the passing away of that person. So to avoid that, we produce the international will and avoid the application of the Portuguese legal system and state what is the correct system to be applied, either the Canadian, the UK one, the US one, other systems that are way more I would say versatile or mobile than ours, because our legal system, in terms of the time that you pass away, basically you cannot do a lot of stuff with your own assets. And when I say state this is, let's say that you wish to donate all your assets to a foundation. Well, you can't do that. The person may be stopped from doing so by the heirs while that person is still living, or even at the time that that person passed away. So it's something that the Portuguese law is not that flexible, and thus there's a lot of people that like to avoid the application of the Portuguese law once they are doing a will, and this is the reason for the international will. We can resolve this at our law firm. There's one of our associates that has been working with those cases quite a lot. She is Andrea, and she is great on those cases. So give us a shout. We'll try to assist you.
Thanks, Daniel, because that can come as a shock to people, can't it? Is that the being in Portugal overrules what you thought you had in place. So you do need to have the right bit of patching going on.
Portuguese assets. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It doesn't apply for all the assets abroad, but for the Portuguese assets, it may be the Portuguese law may be applicable. And to avoid that debate, international will just puts an end to that conversation. It's the foreign law that is applicable instead of the Portuguese one.
Case closed with one of those on the desk. Excellent. All right, there you go. That was for you, Gail, wasn't it? And Laronda, not happy about this. Taking action with finances. It's never really about the money, it's the principle. What I would say about that, Laronda, is you'd have to be highly principled, I think, to go through that process there. But I get your point, Laronda, for sure. Let's pop over to YouTube now, because the questions are piling up over there. Oh, just one more quickie on Zoom. Do I need to provide my CV or bio with my citizenship application? That's not usually, I mean, they're covering letters maybe, but not specifically CV or bio, right?
There's no need for that, although in the submission of the application, in some particular cases, we do like to submit an explanation why that person is requesting the Portuguese citizenship. But it's for rare cases, specific situations, so that's not needed. And usually the people in the registry, they won't accept those documents unless they are necessary for really specific stuff, like for instance, Sephardic Jews. If it's a Sephardic Jew application, that makes sense because you need to provide some context, some cultural context to the application. But for normal time of residency applications, I would say that's not necessary. The public registry here, the People's Registry, will direct the request to IMA, to SEF, to do what we call the counting of time to ascertain how long that person have had the residency permit in Portugal. And then it's just paperwork like the criminal record as well as the birth certificate. But as long as the documents are in good shape, the application will take time, but it will be approved because and the Portuguese language test as well. Don't forget about that because that's highly important for time of residency. Then it's the waiting game. At the current moment, it's taking around 2.5 years to have a Portuguese application approved, and it's the length of time is substantial, but it's worthwhile to have the Portuguese passport at the end.
Well said, absolutely. One more quickie on Zoom here then. Thank you very much. Who was this who answered the question earlier on? I think it was Rick. This for you, Nuno. My Portuguese bank offers travel insurance. Would Winsurance have a better deal? It's a good question, isn't it? And people need to be sure that they're comparing like for like in this instance.
Once again, thank you for the question. It depends what you understand for a better deal.
Yes.
I assuming that you are talking about price, cost, or insurance premium. Nevertheless, I believe that the key cover to travel insurance, to traveling among US, is no limit or no capped medical expenses, because you can have a very affordable quote and then have 50,000 euros or 5,000 euros to medical expenses. So it depends what you are looking for, but the medical expenses for me, as well as the repatriation cover, are the two key factors on a travel insurance.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nuno. And it's worth having a chat. And because I think the offer was made last week, that you will compare policies and go through this, comparing features and prices with people, right?
And because a tricky point of the insurance world, and I say this, that it really, I don't like to see these kind of things, but they happen every day, several times, which is we are comparing coverages, they have the same name, and then when we read the wording, and the insurance policy is a contract. So when we read the wording, they are very different. So you are assuming that you are buying something, but you are getting different money.
Yeah.
So
and I've said it
be
before.
cautious with this.
One of the attractions of going with your bank is it's convenient, and you might have a friend in the bank who speaks English, making it all nice and easy for you. Don't forget, Winsurance, also very easy. And the office, the team speak English over there as well. So you don't need to just feel like, oh my goodness, I need to buy this because this is convenient and I'm in a comfortable space. Winsurance will happily talk you through it as well.
No, and we do a honest and a fair comparison. Sometimes we recommend, okay, that proposal that you have from the bank or other operator, go with them. It seems that is a good offer, so go with them. So
very fair. Thanks, Nuno. Got 4 minutes left, and I need to rattle through the YouTube comments. So thanks for that, Nuno, and thank you for the question, Rick. Johnny, thank you for your technical help earlier on YouTube. Gina is over there. Hello, wonderful people on the mingle. We've not talked. Oh, that is, we do say that, don't we? Mingle with the dream team. Absolutely right here every Thursday evening at 9 o'clock. So yes, thank you for coming and mingling with us, Gina. Looking forward to some more great information. Are we counting down to Parliament in March? We certainly are. We talked about that earlier on. Carl in Canada. I am Canadian. I have my Portuguese citizenship, passport, and cartão cidadão. Do you guys have any idea how the health system in Portugal is compared to Canada? You're probably the best person to speak to, Nuno, about that. Talking to Canadian policy holders and your experience with people moving over here. How Can you possibly answer that? How long is a piece of string question?
It's, as far as I know, in Canada, you don't have a private option, I think. I'm not
Right.
sure,
All right.
but I believe that
System.
Gail is here and she can confirm this. But I believe that you don't have a private option, as long as we have here in Portugal. Okay. Nevertheless, if you are living or are thinking live in Portugal, and you really and healthcare, it's something that worries you. Yeah, you have the public and the private, but the public is with the lack of coverage
Okay.
more and more. So
All right. Thank you for that.
private
Thank you.
is the way.
Well, I appreciate that. You making your best guess at that one. Foreign Affairs is asking this. You may have experience of this, Gilda. It's not a direct visa question, but you might have an experience of this with some of your clients. If I make money as a YouTuber, says Foreign Affair, and I also get paid on PayPal, do I have to issue green receipts, or is there another way? How do people show income of that kind as a digital entrepreneur, Gilda? Or is that a question best put to an accountancy pro?
Yes, they need. Yeah, I have experience with that. They can show how do you say, the statement of the PayPal.
Yep.
But they also need something for an accountant.
Yep.
That will say the activity and how the money comes into that account.
Yep.
And then how it goes to the bank account.
Okay, so there you go. You need to show that configuration Foreign Affair. So
Yes.
check in the business directory and get some accountancy help there. Sounds like a pirate. Probably isn't though. I came to Portugal in August of 2023 and registered Unipassal LDA IT services. I enrolled in the expression of interest article 89.2. How long will it take for me to get the appointment from IMA, do you think, there, Gilda?
When did he submit?
Came to Portugal in August 23 and registered the LDA, enrolled the expression of interest at that time, I think, as well, August 2023.
Well, if we make the account the calculations as the day that we are now, we can consider that it's going to be in 2 years' time.
Okay,
the appointment.
There is a bit more info about that, but I hope that helps.
Yes.
Right there. Learning a lot, says Paisa Linda. Thank you for being here. Jackie, the humble crafter. Bon dia, Carl and team. Good to see you here, Jackie. And Alice says, hi, everyone, from Alice Mafabi. Good evening to you. And Jack Ocean. I think I was going to ask you a question about this new app, which you can put all your personal ID on, and ask the Dream Team if they would recommend doing that. Maybe we'll have a quick go round the panel on that. Not one Shari can answer over there in the Philippines, but for Portuguese nationals, they might like to tell us about this app if they've even heard of it. But just a quick testimonial from Jack Ocean for Daniel. He's a rock star Portuguese lawyer. This is not a paid endorsement. I've had personal experience with difficult Portuguese real estate issues, and Daniel always has had my best interest in mind. How about that? Good feedback from Jack Ocean. Now, this is a really new thing. Just finally then, on a sort of Portuguese cultural question, a possible life hack here. Did you know there is now an app where you can store your ID documents, your driving license, etc., so you don't have to carry them around with you? Have you heard about that, Gilda, and would you recommend it?
I've heard about it, but I'm always the last person to use electronic items, applications, and things like that. So maybe Daniel can talk about it.
I don't blame you. To be an early adopter of that sort of technology takes a strong, a keen interest in technology for one thing, and a lot of trust as well. So Daniel, what do you make of that?
I don't use it. The first person that introduced that app to me was one of my associates around a year and a half ago. And she said, well, I use it every time I have my driver's license, and the police, they're forced to accept it because the app is from the government, and therefore you don't need to have and carry the physical documents. So I said, well, this is interesting, but I never bothered to install the app. Therefore, I still carry my driver's license, my citizen's card, and I carry them to everywhere. So,
Which we
Daniel, this is not a good thing. We are showing people that we are lazy with documents.
it's not. I don't think it's laziness. It's just the thing that we have now.
We are
it works.
attached to paper, okay? We are not
Correct.
lazy. We
Yeah.
are attached to
let's
paper.
call you traditional. Let's call you traditional.
Correct. Thank you.
Not
That
lazy.
was the word that I was searching for.
Yeah,
It's traditional.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are a dying breed, and the new kids, they will run the show, and everything will be electronic. So that's the future. Install it, test it if you like it, and if you do like it, use it because it has the same validity as the physical document.
And we should add, I mean, you're obliged by law to carry around your ID card anyway, aren't you? So
Not
Correct.
according to this app.
No, if you have the app, it has the same value of the card, but you're obliged to carry ID.
Yes.
If you're not carrying ID, the police can accompany you to the precinct for you to identify yourself, and then you have to deliver the documents within a certain deadline.
Wow.
Especially if you're driving, you should have your driver's license and a form of ID, usually the passport for foreign clients or the residency card. So especially if you're driving, having your ID is really relevant.
Okay, thank you both for that. What about you, Nunu? Would you do that? Or does your Tesla do it for you?
For me, put me a chip and avoid all the documents. Nevertheless,
Right.
I have all the documents with me every time, always.
Yeah.
Because for two reasons. First, I could have no internet, no connection, and the police will not leave me. So this is the first situation.
Or a flat
The second
battery,
one,
right? A flat battery.
or
Yes.
battery, yes,
Yes,
or
yeah.
worse, which it could happen on a frequent way, in several situations in Portugal, which is the police say to you, "Oh yeah, I never heard that. So show me the paper. Show me the paper." So this is the
It could
paper.
happen.
Be
It could happen.
happy.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me go.
All
And
right,
that's it.
very good. There you go. That's what real Portuguese people do, everybody. Traditional and belt and braces, I think we could take from that. And what's it called? That's an interesting question. Lorraine Clark's had a go, but can only find the app in Portuguese. And what is this app, says Laurie. Can you let us know what it's called? What's the... Oh, okay. Thank you, Daniel. What would somebody type into a browser to get that? Okay, Daniel, I think might do that for us in the remaining time that we've got. Thank you. Sorry to keep you 5 minutes over. Back to you, Astrid. Thanks, guys, for that. That's really helpful. Shari, thanks for that link as well. For anybody who wants to get in touch with you about filing their US tax return, thank you for being here. Please go and have some breakfast and think of us while you're enjoying that. Back to you, Astrid, for next week's.
Thank you, Carl. A great event today. So thank you very much for everyone coming, and especially to those people over on YouTube as well. Next week, early session, 7:30 Lisbon time, is wealth management. And then we've got the dream team session after that. So that's the lineup next week.
Superb. Let's leave it there. Thanks. Sorry for keeping you, everybody, but that was useful information at the end, and it's id.gov.pt for that if you want to go for it. And you can't have a chip embedded just yet, even though Nunu would like that, but that's not available. I underline and stress that's not available yet here in Portugal. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening. Thanks a lot for your kind feedback. Great session as always, says Debbie, and thank you. Best team ever. We'll take that. Thanks very much. And don't forget to carry on the conversation at expatsportugal.com.